Hello and welcome to the Last Place Fantasy Football Podcast. My name is Ryan. I am here with my co-host Josh, and this is week 4 preview. We're going to be previewing the games, checking out who to watch, who to look for this upcoming week, and we'll throw in a splash of um, bust, sleeper, lock, and then Josh has a little surprise segment for us that he'll show later. So, start out this week in London, Vikings Saints.
Well, yeah, we do want to bring this up. We are recording during the
Oh,
Bengals
yeah.
and Dolphins game,
We are a
so that's
day
kind of
late.
the
We're a day late
yeah.
with this. We all three of us were busy last night on Wednesday night when we normally record. So, we are a day late. We're not going to be previewing the Thursday night games. So, we're going to start
Bes-
in London on Sunday. So,
Besides, you know who you need to start for
oh
Thursday
yeah,
night.
of course.
So, but yeah, we do have a London game, so this is a big deal for everybody. I well, pretty much we'll start off with this. You better have your lineup ready by Saturday,
Yep.
because most likely, especially for both of the time zone Ryan and I are in, it's going to be at 8:30 in the morning is when this game
Yep.
starts. Now, like probably most of the U.S. population, besides the ones in Minnesota and Louisiana, I'm going to be asleep. So I do have a couple people in this matchup, but I'm going to have it. Just remember to set it by the day before, so you have peace of mind going into it. But as far as this game goes, I mean, you're starting Jets, you're starting Kamara. I think a one you really do have to start, and I've done this in the Dynasty League, is I'm starting Chris Olave this week. But Ryan did mention a surprise segment, and I have been brewing this one up because I think now is the perfect time to start talking about it. We have a 3 game sample size, and this is where, for me, I love to get a gauge on how people are feeling about players. So, Ryan, here's this segment.
Okay.
I will be telling you a player, and I'm going to ask you 2 questions. Will you get this player, or will you give the player, whether it's trade or waivers?
Mm.
And how much will you be willing to give or get them? So the first person
Oh.
I want to bring up in this is Dalvin Cook. And the reason why is, if you're within the first 3 weeks, you probably drafted Dalvin Cook, probably late first
Yeah,
round.
at
You're
least late
probably
first round.
panicking because yeah, at least late first round. You probably have been panicking for the fact that he hasn't really gone off to a good start. But Ryan, you as the resident Vikings fan, are you going to get Dalvin Cook, or are you willing to give Dalvin Cook?
You know, I this is a tough one. This is a tough one for me because I do he's my dude. He's Cookie. Um I I I would be reluctant to give him away. But with his performance the last couple of weeks and the way this offense has been running, I am not very hopeful in a top 5 performance from him. Especially with Alexander Madison nipping on his heels and his most recent injury. Um, I see him possibly not being out, but being limited and splitting carries with Madison at least over the next couple of weeks. So if you're willing to wait it out until he's healthy, question mark. I think
Major question
yeah,
mark.
major question mark. I think if you're willing to wait him out, do it. But I think it would be safer off of this last week's performance. I think it would be safer to trade him away, um, while he's hot. So
Int- Interesting.
but
Very interesting.
you may have to wait for those that didn't catch that he was injured and that he might be out, because he has been in practice. He actually had a full participation today on Thursday in practice. So they think he's going to
That's a
play.
big deal.
They think he's going to play. So I you can
It's
risk
device
selling
time.
him, but mm, I would watch it. I would watch it.
So what's hilarious for this, for all of your reasons,
Hmm.
I actually say trade for him.
Really? Okay.
Yes, and so the reason why is because so Minnesota's been just wacky, for lack of a better
Yeah.
word.
Yeah.
Like they literally just won a game where Kirk Cousins was QB 10 in fantasy, and Justin Jefferson had the worst performance of his
Yeah.
NFL
Yeah.
career. So that's where things get interesting. However, I still think the plan for this team is to have this offense go through Jets. Now, that also means that in order for this to work, the run game has to work. And especially if you think about him being a disciple of Sean McVay, that offense has worked by continuing to run the ball and not diverting from
Yeah.
that. Because a lot of times where it goes haywire is diverting it.
Yeah.
And it's not. And the thing for me is that he has been, like, to me he's been good. He just hasn't gotten the touchdowns. And that's where I
Yeah.
think the scary thought is. So that's where I say get him. Now, the question of how much are you willing to give up? That's a bigger question. But I definitely think if if you can make someone bite with, like, I would personally, this is where it gets, this is very biased of me. If you were to do a Najee to get Dalvin Cook and another player, I'd be okay with that. I would also see if you can make someone panic and trade Eckler for Cook.
Yeah. Or even now this would they would have to be very panicky, but even a JT or even a Derrick Henry
Well,
trade.
I think Derek. So I mean, I kind of mentioned this briefly in our last week's news and injury, but the fact that Taylor Lewan's out for the year
Yeah.
now, and I think that's a big deal. The Raiders defense is still kind of going through things. So what really made Derrick Henry's performance though was 5 catches for 58
Yeah.
yards. Does Derrick Henry do that for the rest of the year? No one really knows.
Hmm.
So I would rather have Dalvin Cook right now than Derrick Henry,
True.
personally.
True. But maybe you can get
That's
Derrick
personal, yeah.
Henry and a pick or
A
two.
player. Yeah. So, especially in Dynasty, because you would be taking on the older player, and no, I can totally see that in Dynasty, in a Dynasty format. It's definitely getting a pick out of it, probably a
Yeah.
second,
And
but
that's a
I
big
could totally
if.
see that.
So
Yeah, you have to deal with someone panicking and someone trying eager to make the win now
yeah.
move. I would think. Um, but yeah, so the big thing also about this game is Michael Thomas and Jarvis Landry. This isn't a news and injuries podcast, but definitely be on the lookout for them just because they were hobbled leaving the game last week.
Yeah.
So, on to our next game I have is the Browns going to Atlanta to play the Falcons.
I mean,
And
for one, definitely start Chubb. Definitely
yes,
start Chubb.
Chubb.
Um, and Kareem Hunt is worthy of a flex option, in my book.
So, okay, so yes to both of those. Amari Cooper, are you starting?
Um, against
To me, this is where I think
Atlanta,
DB.
maybe.
I would say
Um,
flex consideration.
yeah, he. I mean, he's just because of who he is in that offense. I say he's worth a flex consideration, especially with his previous performance. I think it was last week, but
Yeah.
you know,
So my big question I have for you, especially on the Brown side, Njoku. How are you feeling with towards Njoku after his really dominant performance last week?
I would I would do it. I would do it. I mean, it's always risky starting these flashy tight ends because one week you'll get, 20 points or even 15 points off of them, and then the next week you'll get three. Like they'll catch one ball for 20 yards.
Yeah,
And it's like, you just got to be smart with it. Ride the hot hand, whoever has it. Um and with these flashy tight ends, you're going to take a risk wherever you go.
yeah, especially if you're going down Njoku level,
Yeah.
it's you were literally playing the
Yeah.
lottery at this point. But I definitely think he's worthy of note because they did give him the big extension this year, and especially towards someone who statistically didn't have the same numbers as say a Mark Andrews. So that's where I'm intrigued by Njoku going rest of the season. I think I need to see one more game with the same amount of targets for me to be all in. Now on Now on the other side, we do have at Atlanta, so they are going. You're probably going to be starting Cordero at this point. I mean, I would too. You also have Drake London, Kyle Pitts. The big question, honestly, is how are we feeling on Kyle Pitts? He finally gets eight, yeah, I think 8 targets,
Yeah.
and so how are we feeling like towards him?
I I like it. I like him, but I also liked him in the off season before his 2 week kind of slump. So I like his production, his potential production in this offense, but it's hard to see with Mariota at quarterback. It's hard to see both um, Drake London and Kyle Pitts eat. It's hard.
Yeah, it's getting really difficult, and this is something I mean like you, me, and Ethan have talked about is it might be Desmond Ritter time sooner than we
Yeah.
know, and I think Ritter has a better passing
Mm-hmm.
capability to support two people. And the big thing about Cordero that I just been looking through because he's been a trade for
Mm-hmm.
target for me is the fact that he's not getting that many
Yeah.
targets, like receiving targets. And so that's where I'm like, okay, that's a big deal because that means you're going after either like Zacchaeus or you're going after, I mean, Drake London for sure. But
Yeah.
I definitely think that passing offense is going to be Pitts and London for sure. Now it's all dependent on can they get him the ball, and I think I hope last week is the start of it, especially with the Browns. Again, not a news and injuries podcast, but we will bring it up. Miles Garrett may not play this week,
More than likely he won't.
especially more than likely, especially with
He
how serious
yeah.
the car
He got
accident
into a car
was.
accident a couple of days ago. He wasn't in for very long. He should be good to go, but I don't see him playing this week. I think they're going to rest.
Yeah, I think that I think they'll let him rest, but that definitely means I mean that team and that defense specifically is very different without Miles Garrett on the field. All right, now to the next game where I don't think surprisingly I don't think there's many like unknowns when it comes to fantasy, but we got the Bills going to Baltimore to play the Ravens. And so, especially, I think this is the first time in like 5 years Buffalo has gone to
Yeah.
Baltimore, which I find very interesting. So, obviously, Josh Allen, yes. Diggs, yes. Now, the two people on the Buffalo side I do want to bring up Singletary and Isaiah McKenzie. Are you starting?
So Isaiah McKenzie, he's again one of those flashy players. I consider him on par with um 2019 or 2020 Mike Williams, where I mean even yeah,
Hmm.
any time prior to 2021's season, Mike Williams. He I think he's flashy. I think he will get targets, not consistently. That's just my personal opinion. I just don't see him getting consistent targets. So,
Yeah, I
um
was telling
yeah, go
Ethan.
ahead.
Okay, I was gonna say I was telling Ethan early because he's the Isaiah McKenzie owner, and I was like, look, for if your team is struggling with points, I think Isaiah McKenzie's the perfect player to play because that's just you're only raising your ceiling. Your floor is already where it's at.
Yeah.
Now, if you were a loaded team that like is consistently scoring a
Yeah.
lot of points, then I wouldn't risk playing McKenzie
Yeah.
there. But because for like owners who need
Mhm.
that fantasy
Yeah.
spike from a player, like Isaiah McKenzie's the perfect
Yeah,
person for
and
that.
I'd say another player that's kind of on par with him would be KJ Osborne for the Vikings.
One
I,
hundred percent, I
I
totally agree
totally
with you.
touchdown dependent, but when he gets those touchdowns, he is relevant. Like he's a
Yes,
definite flex consideration. So like last I think it was last week, he got that like 60-yard touchdown or something.
yeah.
It was ridiculous.
Well, he got the
Yeah.
game winning touchdown,
Mhm. So,
and
KJ Osborne has been that way since here he got 6 touchdowns. And he wasn't even a wide receiver 3 for them. He was like a wide receiver 4. So, um yeah, but Isaiah McKenzie, you can risk starting him. Um but he's going to be flashy. He's going to be a flash in the pan. He's
yeah,
either going to be there or he's not. So,
yeah,
he's not going to be consistent like Diggs. Devin Singletary,
yeah.
I think we saw what okay, I think we saw the start of something there in Buffalo last week. I
Okay,
think I
okay.
think that they are just now, like week 3, well, going into week 4 now, figured out how their running game's going to go. I think that it took them a couple of weeks of feeling out Devin Singletary, feeling out um, Cook, feeling out what's his name? Oh my gosh, who's their second string? Zach
Zach
Moss.
Moss.
So feeling each of those running backs out, and I think they're just now figuring out that oh hey, Devin Singletary is here, our most efficient running back. When it's been clear, I mean, since week 1, that he's been the most efficient, been the most like there.
It's been clear for a couple
Yeah,
years
and I
now.
mean, it was clear at the end of the season last year. But this is
So
an
yeah,
a new coach, and he was trying to figure it out for himself. So I think that the
yeah.
level of
Uh,
skill there is close between all three of them. But I think the lead back in Buffalo, at least from now until yeah,
will be Singletary.
until whenever he gets dethroned, is Singletary. So
Alrighty. So next person
yeah,
on the segment. So based on how you described all that, and I am 100% on
yep.
board with you. I think we would both say trade for
Trade for
Singletary.
Singletary. Yeah.
Now, how much would you give up for
You
Singletary?
know, with the risk of him being dethroned in the future, especially in the passing game by Cook, I think he uh it could be worth maybe a second or a third just to
Yeah.
shore up. I don't think he's a running back 2. I don't think he's a running back 1. He could flirt with running back 2 potential, but I think he's a definite lock for a flex position. Um I would spend a second on him.
So second in Dynasty, how much would you be willing to give up in a redraft or keeper league right
Ooh.
now?
Oh.
Would you give up a Dalvin Cook for Singletary
Hmm.
plus?
I would give up Dalvin Cook for Singletary plus um a mid-grade wide receiver or
Like
maybe even another running
so
back.
like so Dalvin Cook for Curtis Samuel and Singletary?
If you're lacking depth, I think that's possible. Yeah,
Yeah.
so
So but in a straight up trade, you would not trade Dalvin Cook for Singletary.
heck no. I don't think Devin
Okay.
Singletary has
So
that in
I'm
him.
okay. So so maybe would you do James? Not probably not James Robinson. I would say he's even in that category. But what about a James Conner for Singletary?
Yeah, I think with how the Cardinals defense or Cardinals offense is going, I I would consider a straight up trade. Consider it.
Yeah, I would consider it too. That's kind of where the level I would have
Yeah.
Singletary. Now, on the Ravens side, I mean, you're starting Lamar, you're starting
Yeah.
Andrews, you're probably starting Bateman in a flex spot, most
Yeah.
likely. Really, there's only one person I want to talk about and go in depth, and that's
I
J.K.
was
Dobbins. First game,
begging you to bring him up. I
yeah,
am so excited about him.
first
Yeah.
game back. I will tell you, yes, stat lines didn't show well, like 7 for 23. Yes, and he caught a couple
Yeah.
passes, but the juice and the explosiveness is
He
back.
still has it. He still has it.
He still has it, but also he in that limited amount of action,
Yeah,
by far the Ravens' best back. It's
for
not even
sure.
close. Like his ability to get stuck for a 1 yard gain to make it like a 4 to 5
Yep.
yard gain, like that's still there. So I was through the moon about it. How much would you trade for J.K. Dobbins right now?
He's worth a first. I think he
Ooh,
is because of the potential he has. Yes, he is injury prone. Yes, he has had injury troubles in the past, but I think that he could be a potential star in Baltimore. So I think he's worth a first, not multiple firsts, but a first at least. Because he's a lock to be probably an RB2, no matter where. Like because that
yeah. Once he gets the
yeah,
volume, he's
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 going
a
to.
lock
Yeah,
for RB
he's just
two.
got to get off the snap count that he's on right now, and it's because of the injury.
Yeah, and I would say, like I personally say, trade for
Yeah.
him now while
Yep.
he's on the snap count. See, and especially if that J.K. Dobbins owner is like 1-2 or 0-3, they will have they have no choice but to
Yeah.
not wait it out anymore.
And but
So
to be honest, like anybody who has J.K. Dobbins on their roster right now and doesn't either have him on their IR or anything like that, if they have him on their bench, they're probably a truther. So
yeah,
they're
they
probably going to
probably are.
want
So
more
it
than
will
just a
be
one. They're probably going to want more than
yeah.
that. So
So, what is there anyone that was drafted within the first few rounds that in a redraft or keeper league that you would say I'm willing to make this trade right now for J.K. for the later half of the year?
anybody in the first few rounds that I would give up for JK?
Yeah, well, who would you give up for J.K.? Because because obviously James Conner, well,
Yeah.
duh, we would give that up, or a couple other people, but I don't know where I
I,
would go to where it's like I would rather have someone else other than J.K. Dobbins.
so I would rather have somebody else other than JK.
Well, yeah, okay, so let me think of
Because
let me
I'm
rephrase it here.
thinking of one running back that I'd rather give up and have JK for
Who
future
would that be?
purposes. This is dynasty, purely dynasty. In
Oh,
redraft,
for purely
I'd hold on to
dynasty.
this guy. But Aaron Jones.
Yeah.
I would
Oh, that's a. Would you give up Aaron Jones right now in redraft?
no, not for JK. Just because his potential is there, but he hasn't shown it yet this year. He
Yeah.
showed it.
So
He showed it before the injury, but
okay, so
yeah.
I'll bring up the person I immediately thought of for this. Would you trade Ezekiel Elliott for J.K. Dobbins right
Oh,
now?
for sure, 100%.
Okay, because that's kind of the level I thought of.
I
Is
have
like,
been losing faith in Ezekiel Elliott over the last couple of years, especially with the emergence of Tony Pollard last year, who really showed that he
yeah,
could be the number one back in Dallas and not blink and that offense not blink an eye. Like not miss
yeah, no, not.
Zeke.
I'll be honest. Like my hot take has been Zeke keeps getting like usage is because he was way better in pass
Yeah.
pro than Tony Pollard, and then on top of that, they've paid him
Yeah.
90+ mil,
They've paid him too
and
much.
that's where.
That's why he's still on
Well,
that
yeah,
offense.
and yeah, so that's where it's like you're kind of stuck with it. I've been off the Zeke train for so
Yeah.
long. It's just, and that was one person I've always avoided
Mm-hmm.
just because it's like I can't
Yeah.
trust you right now. And that was with at that point where the Dynasty O line basically the like amazing Dallas Cowboys O line was starting to like lose pieces left and right when Travis Frederick
Yeah.
retired and and like Tyron Smith kept getting hurt, and so that's where it's like okay, I'm
Yeah.
done.
And I'm losing faith in Zeke. I've lost faith in Zeke. And Tony Pollard is now looking like the better back. Like
I would
he's
agree.
more
He's
fantasy.
more
Yeah, but
explosive.
he's more fantasy productive too.
Yeah, fantasy
So
relevant as well. I would agree with that.
anybody who has Zeke, trade for Pollard. Get Pollard.
Yeah.
Like
And so many people the last few years have just like suckered in. Is like, you know what? I think Zeke's gonna do good this year.
it's
Zeke's gonna do this
yeah.
good this year, and I'm like, yeah, but I'm not gonna spend a third
Yeah.
round pick
And
on.
it's the old Dallas Cowboys thing every year. This is our year. This is our year. Except
This is our
this is it's
oh
Zeke's year. It's Zeke's year. This is Zeke's year. It's like
right
no, it's not.
Ryan. How legitimately how many
Oh my
times have we
god.
heard that
Oh my gosh.
within the last few
Yeah.
years? All right, especially just for context sake, we both live in
Yeah. We both
Texas.
live in the Dallas area, and that's what we hear.
Yeah.
I literally just heard it
Oh, yeah.
this week with one of my coworkers saying, "This is our year."
Yeah,
I couldn't
this
do
is our
anything but
year.
laugh.
Yeah, well, speaking of Zeke, that's going to be our next game. Dallas Cowboys going playing at home versus the Commanders. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know how to feel about this game because I think if anything proved last week, a good D line just destroys the Commanders'
Yeah.
offense. And you have Demarcus Lawrence and Micah
Hmm.
Parsons. Good luck, Carson
Yeah.
Wentz.
Good luck. And yeah, if you get to Carson, the game's done. Like I said
Yeah,
last week, he was just being smothered, and he could not get
yeah,
into a rhythm,
dude.
could not get anything going. That's what killed him.
That was one of the worst O line performances. Well, and quarterback performance. I'll add
Yeah.
that because as far as pass protection, because it's both. That was one of the worst things I've seen in a long
Yeah.
time. Just because it was just there was one either no time, or it was I'm going to go do hero ball and then give up the sack again. So it both things
Yeah.
happened. And unfortunately for there, like they just never got going. Terry somehow did good, but Curtis Samuel, Dotson, like they all took a hit
Yeah, I
from
mean
that.
Curtis Samuel
I
still produced, just not as much as he did the previous
s-
2 weeks.
still all right, so still produce. So I want to throw this idea at you. At, so I'm gonna give you three names here. Tell me which one you're starting in your flex spot: Curtis Samuel, Jeff Wilson, or Khalil Herbert. Who are you starting?
First of all, Khalil Herbert, a lock. I I love the dude. I've said for the last 2 years, well, since he came into the league. Oh, sorry. Um, since he came into the league, I have felt like he's been the better back in Chicago. And it's taken Monty really having like this injury last week where Khalil Herbert stepped in and showed everybody that he is the better back in Chicago.
Yeah.
And I think this is Herbert's time to show everybody and to really like say, hey, this is my spot. I am RB1. So I think he's going to prove it over the next couple of weeks while Monty's out. So I have him as a streaming
So her,
option for me, like in every league.
okay, so Herbert's your lock.
Herbert is a lock.
Herbert's your lock out of those
Yeah.
three. Interesting. So okay, because I actually would pick Herbert too. I as much as Curtis Samuel would be good, I just don't. I just think with this D line, it's not going to go well. With this D line and O line, I just don't think it's going to end well for the Commanders here. And for the Cowboys side, obviously, I don't think Dak comes back this week. It looks like Week 5 is going to be the point for Dak, and then I mean Zeke Pollard, you're probably starting at this point, depending on
Yeah.
RB2 or flex. How are you feeling about CD Lamb at this point? For you being the CD Lamb owner,
I'm keeping him in my lineup. I think he's got good chemistry with Cooper Rush. Um, and I
yeah,
think he continues to build that as the weeks go on. He kind of had a rough time that first week. But I think that was mainly um, Dak being out, and I think it was like that whole Tampa Bay defense kind of just like smothered him, and
yeah,
it was rough for him. I mean, he got 11 targets. He has consistently every week gotten 11 targets, which is so impressive. But I think that he's going to be fine. I think
yeah.
it's taking him
I
some
think
time
he's
to uh, acclimate to not having Dak
yeah.
there.
I think he'll be fine. My bigger issue is when Michael Gallup comes back. And I know it may take some of the targets away, but I think it's more like, oh, we're just going to not use, we may just go more 11 personnel just to go with Noah Brown, CD, and Michael Gallup because Dalton Schultz is also out. And so now they have Jake Ferguson in there, one tight end on the field. I could see that possibility. I don't think Michael Gallup takes too much of Cooper Rush's. What just happened?
Tua's
What just
down,
happened?
and I think his fingers
Oh no!
dislocated. He's laying down like this, and
Oh,
is like, I think it was his index finger.
is he is he moving?
I'm
Ooh!
there's
All right, like
something.
we
He
said from the
slammed
top, we're
his he
doing
slammed
this.
his head.
Oh no, it's a head injury.
I don't know. He's doing this like around his head, and they're on the field right now.
Oh
Yikes.
no! Oh, that's bad.
Yeah, so Tua's
That
down.
is bad.
Um
Uh, okay, that's
yeah.
really bad.
Yeah. All right, we can continue. I'll give updates as they come.
Okay, well, okay, yeah. Definitely keep me updated on that. But yeah, I'm not worried about CD. I think it's going to be interesting as the year goes on with Gallup and then with Dak returning and recovering.
Yeah.
So our next game that we have here, Seahawks and Lions. So I want to kind of start on the Lions here because it looks like DeAndre Swift is not playing this week. Kind of not surprised when your coach is offering, hey, probably take 2 weeks off and
Yeah.
you'll be good to go. So it looks like the return of the mighty Craig and Jamal Williams is probably going to be that
I
timeshare.
mean, Jamal Williams has
Um,
been a start. I mean, he's been a
yeah,
he's been a touchdown vulture like ever since week 1. So, honestly, in deeper
yeah.
leagues, he's worth a flex consideration for me.
I mean, I picked him up and put him
Yeah.
in my flex. Honestly, I mean that like I just straight up did that. I mean it's a good matchup against the
Mhm.
Seahawks too. Jared Goff has been balling pretty good. So along with Amon Ra Hawkinson, you're playing the
Yeah.
lottery, but I mean definitely it's going to be a Jamal Williams and Sun God
Oh yeah.
show.
But
Now
he may not
on
even
the other
be in it.
side,
So Amon Ra
oh
is on the
right,
injury list. He hasn't participated
right,
the last
he
two
is on the
games.
injury report.
So
Oh, he's been in
yeah,
DMP.
he's been a DMP the last two
Okay, so
days.
it's a early afternoon game, so check Saturday to see the
Yeah.
injury report. If he's a full participant on Saturday, then he's going to be good to go. If he's not, then most likely he won't be playing, which means you're probably going to want to start Chark or Josh Reynolds in your
Yeah.
flex spot. And then so on the Seahawks side, I'm not trusting a Seattle running back at this point. Even though the matchup's
Yeah,
good,
no.
I don't know who it's
I
going to
don't like
be, so I
Penny.
don't trust any of them.
It, if
I don't like Ken Walker in this
no,
situation
if
either.
Kenneth Walker, if they show up, maybe, but
I'll be
it's gonna
honest
take
with
him a
you.
couple of weeks.
If I had Kenneth Walker, I would not be starting him unless
Yeah,
Penny was out.
yeah,
And just because the opportunities just kind of split
yeah.
down the middle, but even then, like I'm not
At
really
least at this
liking
point.
like that offense. Yeah, at
At
this
this
point.
point, if
Um,
down the line, Kenneth Walker takes over and takes the majority of the share, then yeah, start Kenneth Walker. But right
but
now,
right
no.
now, no.
Keep him on your
And
bench.
then obviously DK and Lockett, you're basically praying at that point.
Yep, you are. You are praying because I don't like DK. I don't like Lockett. Not with
It's just
not
the
with Geno.
opportunity.
Not with Geno Smith commanding that offense.
Like they're making that offense kind of work, but it's just not good for
Geno is all
fantasy.
right. I will admit that. He's an all right quarterback, but he does not have the I don't know. He doesn't have like a clutch feel to him. He doesn't.
I guess for me is it's just more of he can run an
Yeah.
offense, but will the offense ever run through him?
Yeah.
No.
No. Yeah. He will not
Yeah,
be
he's just
what I like to call the breadwinner. He will not. He'll be
yes.
replaced.
He will not be the breadwinner, but he's better than Drew Lock. That's what we found out.
Yeah.
So let's go for the next game. This is where things are going to get interesting. Chargers Texans, and look away, Chargers fans, because this got ugly really quick. Rashawn Slater, again, he's out
Yeah.
for the year, so that definitely complicates things. And then I'm gonna do the segment again, and I think it's one. I mean, I've said this over and over again. I've hit the panic
Yeah.
button, but I want to know how you're feeling. Are you trying to trade for Eckler, or are you trying to give Eckler?
I am trading for.
Oh,
I am
do
trading
tell.
for. I think this offense is still trying to find its feet. I think last year was great for them. Herbert really put the team on his back, though. I think that they're going to be leaning a little more on Eckler in the future. Now, I hope that that's the case. Um, I could see it happening. Do I know for sure? Obviously not. Okay, a stretcher is out for Tua. They are carting him off
Oh
the field.
no! Oh no, hold on,
Yeah,
I am.
they are carting him off the field right now. Like he is
Oh
strapped in,
no.
not moving. That is not good.
Oh no, that is the
Yikes.
worst news. Oh no, especially since this. So what scares me is that I mean he had the issue Sunday.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yikes. Looks
oh
like it's Teddy
no.
Bridgewater time.
Yeah. Oh
Yikes.
gosh.
Yeah, they kept his helmet on and unscrewed his face mask and all of that.
Dude.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah. No. Okay. So that tells me there needs to be if it's that bad, like we need an explanation on
Yeah.
Sunday, and we need an man. I feel so bad for Tua because it was finally turning the
Yeah.
corner too.
And I mean, this the fantasy implications. Sorry to pivot, but because it what happened to him is tragic, man. And I hope he's okay. I'll be praying for him. But
Oh
yeah,
no.
fantasy implications. Waddle and Hill, uh, with Bridgewater in the backfield. I don't know.
Oh,
I don't
that
know what happens there.
yeah.
So um, we'll see.
Oh
Yeah.
no.
So let's go on to our next matchup if we can.
Okay, so the yeah, let's go to the next matchup.
Um. Oh, we
Well,
still
I
have
mean,
to
we were
talk.
talking
Yeah,
about
we were talking
Chargers,
Chargers.
yeah.
Okay, so Chargers. Like I said,
I
I'd say um, I would try to acquire Eckler. I like him. I like him. His performance over the last couple of weeks has not been great, but I think it'll get better. So,
So I'm on the opposite for you, and
mm-hmm.
I think that kind of goes as no surprise. I've been on the trade away Eckler as soon as you
Okay.
can. Well, maybe not in PPR formats because the passing volume is still there, but the rushing volume is what
Mm,
scares me. And it's just because it's been 2.5 yards a carry and not getting almost any red
yeah.
zone opportunities. That's all been going to Sony Michelle.
Yeah.
And this is where it's like either that's going to have to change or I don't know.
Yeah.
Like that's where it's I'm like, okay, this is a problem. And on top of that, when your top left tackle's out for the game, out for the
Yeah.
year, actually, that's what doesn't bode well. And especially now, I mean, they have a good trio of receivers: Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, and Josh Palmer. And I think they may have to rely on them more
Mm-hmm.
than anything. So that's the only thing that scares me. And I mean, I had Eckler in the standard league, so I did trade him away, just because it didn't really benefit me all that much. But I would say if you're in the half PPR, I would start considering it because the problem is you don't want to get left with a player that's just
Yeah.
tanking, and you spent a top five pick on him.
Yeah.
So that I would say, personally, that's where I'm like, I mean, I just traded him for Swift. That's kind of my barometer right now.
I'd say yeah, the
Uh,
upside for Swift, just because he's younger and he's on a pretty explosive
yeah,
offense, I would go for it. But
yeah,
if you're gonna trade him away for something lesser, no, no, I do not do that.
no, yeah, no. And I would say you may try to get picks out of it, but I'm not even sure you'll be able to get that
Yeah.
at this point. Like the panic I have for Eckler right now is the same exact panic I had for Kenyon Drake 2 years ago,
Yeah.
where we're like, okay, he's gonna get the
Oh my
opportunity. Did really
gosh.
good last year, and that is it that bad?
No, Higgins just took off for like a 40-yard touchdown.
Well, this game's gonna get
Yeah.
ugly.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man, I feel so bad for Tua.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I mean, we here at the Last Place Fantasy Podcast, we really hope Tua's okay,
we do.
just because he's gone through a lot. I hate that
Yeah.
for him though. Like I really do because he. That sucks. What also, okay, what also sucks. I can't believe I'm doing this transition. Is the all right? So what also sucks is the Houston Texans. Um,
I mean, they do. Two
I mean,
losses,
I'm not starting
two
Cook.
losses and a
One
tie.
tie.
It's sad.
I mean, really, the only person I consider starting here is Damian Pierce, and that's
Uh,
if.
and yeah, I was gonna say that's like it really iffy.
Yeah,
Brandon Cooks
I
is a possible start.
possible. He's just not gotten the
Yeah.
targets whatsoever the last couple weeks. That's the only
Well,
thing
he's
that
gotten the
scares me.
targets.
But
He has not gotten the receptions. He needs to catch the dang ball.
oh, I yes, yep. I
Because
had
he's
that.
got
Yeah, he just
29
yeah.
targets over the last 3 weeks, which is great.
Ooh,
But he's only got
that's
13
bad.
receptions out off of those 29 targets.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty bad. That's pretty
So
bad.
he needs to just catch the dang ball.
Yeah, so Cooks, so I changed my mind on that. Cooks, you start.
Yeah.
All right, so the next game, going to two more AFC South opponents, Titans at the Colts. Big game here, especially for. I mean, the Colts. Let's see what happens here. I mean, Pittman definitely a start.
If he's in,
JT definitely a start.
yeah. JT was actually on the injured list today. So that's something to keep an eye on. It was a toe injury, but
Ooh, okay. We gotta be careful about the
yeah,
toes because that will knock a running back
yeah.
out
So
really
he was on
fast.
the injured list today, as a limited participant.
Okay, so limited still good, but that's definitely something to
Yeah,
be aware of, or even
but
temper your expectations at that
but for
point.
those of you listening in, we'll have more details. I'll try to get some more details on that, in our news and injuries podcast. Um,
Yeah,
Titans, on the other hand, I,
I mean,
I mean,
so
there's not much. Yeah,
Derrick
there's not
Henry.
much to talk about with the Titans. I mean, Traylon Burks.
I would
Yeah,
stash.
I like him. Robert Woods actually showed up last week, which is good.
Yeah,
Um,
I
after
just
having
think
a very
I just
quiet
think
two
Traylon.
weeks.
Yeah, I think Traylon Burks has the most
Yeah,
explosiveness, and I think I mean they need him to be
yeah,
the number one. So I definitely think that is. I think the Titans will push it. So hence, I think you should stash for it
hmm
because he's either going to be an easy trade for target right now, or he's on waivers,
yes,
honestly.
yeah.
And as much as Ethan hates him, I would say go get him. So yeah, that's all for that
Yeah.
game. Okay. So I wanted to throw a different idea for the segment
Okay.
here at you. How much would you trade for Khalil Herbert right now? We are now talking about the Bears and Giants.
Uh,
How much would you trade for Khalil Herbert?
my second born
Because
child. I not really,
I mean,
but
all right, so that means if Marlowe
yes,
got
yeah.
kids,
Marlowe's my dog, by the way. um,
man, you're gonna
yeah,
get rid of the pups like
no,
that. But no,
I believe in him, but I also need to see him in a consistent starting role, before I really truly invest in him. I love his potential. I know that he's the number one there. But whether he is a RB1 lock number one, or an RB low end RB2 number one, that like that was Monty. For me, was a low end RB2. Because of the volume that he got, he was an RB2. But his production was less than. I would
yeah,
consider somebody like JT last year was a RB1 lock, like every
mhm.
week, because he was very productive. If he continues with this performance that he did last week, if he gets another performance like that, I will then say he is worth a number one pick in that offense.
Wow.
In that offense.
Good. So I guess like I want to kind of like contextualize this for a lot of the people maybe just listening to it right now, going, "Wow, you're giving up the number one pick for Khalil
Not the
Herbert."
number one pick.
You are expect a number one pick. You are expecting Khalil Herbert to be the starting running back for the Chicago Bears next year. Is how you. I mean, I see it. I think. I mean, I would trade a flex, like a couple flex wide receivers for Herbert right now. And if you needed me to go crazy, I mean, I would trade Josh Jacobs for Khalil Herbert right
You
now.
know, yeah, I would. And Jacobs is a consistent running back because he gets the volume. You know, he is in the final year of his rookie contract. They declined his fifth year option. So that I'm
Yeah, like they've
concerned with
already
his
said, we
future.
don't
Yeah.
want you.
I'm concerned with his future past this current season. This season he's fine. He's actually doing pretty well. Um but I don't know about his future. Khalil Herbert, if he shows up over the next couple of weeks with Monty gone, I almost guarantee a
Oh,
starting position next year.
leagues are going to go like turn into
Yep.
flames if Khalil Herbert
Yep.
takes off for a second straight week, and it's possible because he did it last year, and that was a
Yep.
Yankee offense, and so that's where it's like, if he does, you may not be able to
Mm-mm.
trade for him. Like this is, you gotta get someone with cold feet that has Khalil
Mm-hmm.
Herbert, or I mean,
It's kind of a
if so,
you have to get him before he gets hot, or else nobody's going to want to
yeah,
trade for him.
exactly, and that's how I feel about
Yeah,
that as well. And
because
besides
people are going
that,
to be asking like their firstborn child for
unlike the
Herbert.
second born child that Ryan just
Exactly.
offered.
It's a step
So besides that, on the Bears, no one else. And don't look at Cole Kmet or Darnell Mooney unless you want your feelings
My
hurt.
feelings are already
Now,
hurt with Mooney.
dude, Mooney hurts. Like we were both high on Mooney,
very high on Mooney.
and this has been nothing but disaster in my opinion.
Fields sucks.
It's the Bear, yeah. It, oh my goodness.
Fields sucks.
It's just they are literally just not throwing the ball, and so like two for like 24 yards. Oh, that's good for that offense. But I'm like, no, I invested a seventh round pick in the Darnell Mooney, thinking he'd be really good, and Cole Kmet because he had 90 plus targets last year, and it's just all gone to. I mean, I'm happy I didn't invest in the Cole Kmet as much, but it's been disaster from day one.
It's really frustrating.
Very frustrating. So, speaking of disaster, we're going to talk about the Giants' wide receiver room because
my gosh,
what's gonna? Okay, so I want to bring that up first because obviously you're starting Saquon, and Saquon's back. Like this, that's all I want to see, and that's all we really have to say about that. I will tell you for Dynasty, and I did this in our league, Ryan. I picked up Daniel Bellinger as the tight end. He's been surprising me, and he's getting a good amount of targets. So I picked him up. So again, look at me with like the 85 tight ends on the roster. But
okay, so I've got a question for you.
Okay, what is the question?
With Sterling Shepard out for the year, is Richie James their number one wide receiver?
Why do I have to imagine this?
I mean, Richie James, man.
Look, I think Richie James has done well. If you give him the number one role, it's going to end in disaster. I actually bring up I think you have to look at Kadarius Tony again.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
know I know for a lot of people who had him last year and this year, you hate being on this like
yeah,
cycle of
yeah.
trauma that is starting Kadarius Tony. But now the Giants have no choice. Like
Well,
that's
I mean,
where like you have Wandale. Wandale's one guy.
but
Kadarius Tony has to be the other guy unless you want to start
yeah,
Kenny Galladay.
I'm
Now,
so
do you have the stones to start Kenny Galladay?
yes, yeah, I agree with that. That's a big question mark. My question to this New York Giants organization: you forked over quite a bit of money bringing Kenny Galladay into your offense, and
That
you have
that was the old
and
regime. That so
yeah,
that's
but he's still there. You haven't traded
yeah.
him away. You
Well,
haven't done anything.
you can't like how the deal is structured. You just can't because they get like 50 million in dead cap.
Oh my gosh,
Like
it's so
it's such a
stupid.
bad deal by the old regime, and now that you're literally stuck with Kenny Galladay. And now he did play. He did get a couple receptions. That's good because that was better than what
But
last year was.
still, like
But
he
I'm
is not good. So,
no, he's yeah. As I can't say he's good right
but I mean, it's just hard to see their wide receiver room looking so bare like that when
now.
you know. I mean, I'm sad that Sterling Shepard, what happened to him, happened.
I know. I'm
I was
so
so
upset about
excited
that
for
too.
this for his year this year. I was very excited. Um,
Yeah, freaking
but
MetLife.
Richie James waiver pickup this year.
Yeah.
Pick it up.
I pick him up. See what
Probably not
happens.
gonna
And
benefit you a whole lot, but you never know. May end up being wide receiver one for the Giants. Who knows?
you never know is the epitome of the Giants
Yeah,
wide
you
receiver
never
room.
know. It's just a big shrug. It's like,
Yeah, Eh,
oh,
yeah. It is a
yep,
giant
head and
shrug.
neck injuries for Tua, and he's taken to the hospital. So he went straight to the
Oh
hospital. Yikes.
man. Oh yeah, I would. So that makes the Sunday injury into a bigger
Yeah,
context, and I think as much as I understand why the NFLPA wanted to investigate. Now you better get that investigation going
yeah,
and understand what on earth
yeah,
happened.
and they'll figure it out.
Um,
That's crazy though.
yeah, I I hope so. I feel so bad for Tua.
Okay, what's our next matchup?
um, a game that I did not expect to be probably game of the week, and I'm saying that with Ravens Bills on the
Yeah.
schedule. Jaguars Eagles.
Yeah. You know, for the first time in a while, I saw some life in that Jaguars offense. Like they showed
Yeah,
up.
38-10. Yeah, they showed up. That like I'll be honest. I'm I'm very impressed with this Doug Peterson offense. To be honest with you,
Yeah.
it does feel like he learned quite a few mistakes that happened in Philly,
Mm-hmm.
especially with Wentz. And now, like Trevor Lawrence is reaping all
Yes.
the benefits, and there
Yeah.
is a night and darkest of day. No, darkest of nights to brightest of days
Yeah.
difference with it, Trevor Lawrence, and that's I mean James Robinson's also looked good to where it's like wow, all right, players one, Achilles zero, and then I would say a person that I brought up as a waiver pickup is Zay
Yes.
Jones.
Yeah. Especially with his
He
24 targets over the last 3 weeks. That's
yeah
solid, man.
yeah he's getting targeted. They teams are focusing on Kirk, which has opened up Zay Jones. Zay Jones is the clear cut
Yeah.
two, even over Marvin
Surprisingly,
Jones.
yeah, over Marvin Jones.
Well, yeah. Well, he
Yeah.
got the payday. He got like 34 million. I want to say
Yeah.
from the
Yeah.
Jaguars. I believe that's what the deal was, just off the top of my head. But yeah,
Look,
I mean, I'm still probably not starting ETN until I see more involvement which that pains me to
Yeah,
say. That pains Ethan to
and
say. We're all in pain
every
over hearing
ETN
that.
truther who has held on to him since last year, I feel bad because that's
Uh,
another one of those things where it's like it's hard to watch somebody hold on to a player for like 2 years and not really get a whole lot of benefit. You know, them take up a spot in your either taxi squad or on your bench or whatnot, and them not really get used. Sorry.
and and why is that player DJ Moore?
DJ Moore is in the doghouse for me. So
Dude, did you see it in our ESPN league? I
yeah,
finally did it.
you did. I saw it
I
and I was so
finally,
proud of
yeah.
you. I was over there
Uh
having a prayer
he
sesh
can't.
for you. Like, man, it took so
Yeah,
much.
he can't hurt
Yeah.
me anymore.
Like you finally got out of that abusive relationship, Josh. Good job.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, that was painful to watch. But with ETN, you also have to understand, like, I think he will get involved more. We also have to understand this is his rookie year.
Yeah.
Like, kind of like how we said with a lot of other players, especially that got hurt rookie year. It's like, hey, this is your rookie year now. ETN is the same exact way, and so that's where I have to temper my expectations. I am still holding on to him,
Yeah.
but I am not going to hate you, or not. Well, I'm not going to hate anyone. Period. But I'm not going to fault you if you're like, panicking and traded him right now. Wouldn't drop him, but I would definitely, like, if I got a good offer for ETN. It's hard for me to
Yeah.
say no at this point.
Yeah. If you got a good offer for him. So
Yeah. So okay, so now we're going on to the Eagle side. Hertz is an auto start. AJ Brown
yep.
auto start. Devontae Smith auto start at this point, I would say.
Yeah,
And
Devontae Smith, yes. But he's another flash player that I'd just be aware of.
well,
So
I would still start him because you don't know who it's going
yeah.
to be. And just because, especially now that Devontae Smith has put his name out there, now it's like, oh boy, we got to worry about AJ Brown and Devontae
Yeah.
Smith, along with the running game. And so that's where the concern is for me at the moment.
Yeah.
Um, Now I'm going to bring up the segment again, and specifically for this game, we're going to bring up two players.
Okay.
Are you trading for James Robinson or Miles Sanders? Are you trading for or giving them
I
up?
would trade for both of them.
Both?
Both of them.
Okay, cool. All right, cool. Because I'm
Yeah.
I'm on the same path too. I'm on the same track.
Yeah. I'd trade for both of them. I like both of them. I Yeah, I think James Robinson is going to keep that workhorse back um, situation, at least for now, through this year. I think they'll reevaluate in this offseason. But they are going to get ETN into this offense. So
Yeah.
they are going to get ETN into this offense. There's no way they can't. He's just
Yeah.
with what he has shown, he is explosive. He is a great running back.
He's a
He's a home run threat. Exactly. And Miles Sanders, I think, is just going to get so much work.
He's hit the end zone a couple of times, but the reason why I'm not worried about Miles Sanders is that each of the 3 games, the game's been over by halftime. And I think once you get into a game where it's a tougher game like this game, I think you'll see Miles Sanders' usage go way up. And whether it's running the ball, they know they can throw the ball to him, but obviously it's a lot of just running the ball. I definitely would trade for both right now.
I would trade for both.
Yep, same here. All right, so now we go on to the next game, and well, actually, I can't say that. It's the Zach Wilson first game back, Jets at Steelers.
And
I also did some. I also did something interesting in the ESPN lineup, and I want to bring this
Okay.
up. Brees Hall. I actually am putting Brees Hall over Michael Carter
Really?
in my
Okay.
lineup. The reason why is because Zach Wilson doesn't throw it to the running backs as much, so that kind of kills the usage of Michael Carter. And then we've also seen it just based off going through the game and going through like the stat
Yeah.
sheets. Brees Hall's just been a way better runner, period, than Michael
Yeah.
Carter.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it's Brees Hall. I think it's Brees Hall time. I I would rather be a week early
Yeah.
on this because once he does explode, Zach Wilson actually has an ability. It just especially when they started Flacco, like you're not worried about
Yeah.
him running around. Now you have to be worried about that with Zach Wilson, even post injury.
Hmm.
So I definitely, and Zach Wilson's also going to be throwing the ball more vertically, which I think is going to help Brees Hall out even more.
Yes.
So I made that change. Obviously, most likely, I'm not going to put him in our little trade segment whatsoever because most likely whoever has him is keeping him.
Yeah. I'm holding on to him. I'm a Brees Hall owner. I am holding on to him, praying that God forbid, Michael Carter gets an injury or they decide to throw him in the
I just
doghouse and let Brees Hall run
yeah,
circles.
no. I don't think he's going to get like full
Yeah.
workhorse like 90% of the workload, but I definitely think it will shift to 60-40 at
Yeah.
this point. And considering just how that offense has been, like 60% of the Jets carries, sign me up for
Yeah.
that. And I
Kind of
just
a
think what
Melvin
Brees Hall can
Gordon,
do,
Javonte Williams thing going on. Okay.
situation exactly. And the Steelers have the worst run defense in the league right now. Like so, and it's been such a big
Yeah.
situation. Montravius Adams is now the starting nose tackle over Tyson Alualu. And but even then, I don't think there's going to be that big of a
Yeah.
difference. So that's where, like, what are you
Yeah.
going to do, basically?
So
Like,
yeah. Yeah, I get that. One more thing I want to say about the Jets. Tyler Conklin. How are you feeling about Tyler Conklin? Because he's on track to like break his personal record.
I have I have to think about that, and the reason why is just because Flacco also liked throwing the tight ends. It could be a flash in the pan. Like personally, what I think is going to happen, and I'll eat crow, and I'll say I'm wrong if it doesn't happen. I think Conklin's targets move to Elijah Moore
Hmm.
once Zach Wilson gets into the lineup,
I hope so.
and I think same here. Considering I also have Elijah
Yeah.
Moore,
They invested
but
a lot in
I
Elijah Moore.
think that's where it's like Chris Davis has scored, but he really hasn't been used. He's been the weird third wheel.
Yeah.
It's obviously been Garrett Wilson. It's been and Elijah Moore as the top two, or that's at least the future. And I think for Elijah Moore's sake, it's going to change with Zach
Yeah.
Wilson. But I also think Zach Wilson can do things that Joe Flacco can, and that's going to help Elijah Moore even more.
Hmm.
But Conklin, I would just take a look at it because I can see them throwing the ball a whole lot more or play actions that because Zach Wilson can't has that mobility, and I can see Conklin getting a couple easy completions here or there.
Yeah. I I hope they stay consistent with his usage because I'd enjoy seeing Conklin get fed every week. Like
Yeah,
that would be awesome. But on the other hand, I would also like to see Elijah Moore thrive in this
I just
offense. Um,
and he has at
yeah,
certain points. That's like so that's where it's like it's driving me crazy. I'm like you've seen him do
yeah,
really well. Just get
yeah.
him the
He's just
ball,
not
and
showing
then
up.
that opens up
Hmm.
Garrett Wilson, and then your offense is just going to be smooth sailing from there. So just Zach Wilson, please be good. Please be good, Zach Wilson. I believe in you. I really do.
Yeah.
I really believe in you, man. Please. Uh, Now, speaking. Well, actually, I'm not even going to transition. Cardinals Panthers is. Oh, no, actually, we didn't even talk about Steelers. That's my bad. That explains how mediocre the Steelers are. Um, don't start Trubisky. You're probably starting Najee. You're probably going to be upset with Najee again if he doesn't score. And then Fryermuth, I would start if you don't have a better option. But let's just say I wanted to fight Mitch Trubisky last week when it took 4 minutes left in the game for Pat Fryermuth to get one target.
Yeah.
Why did Fryermuth pee in his coffee?
Yes. He did. He did.
Had to
He
have.
had to have. I don't know what's going on with them. It's
There has been reports of a lot of grumbling and a lot
really,
of upset. Yeah, and Claypool kind of brought it up a little bit, trying to being coy about it, but it definitely sounds like there's a lot of dissent happening right now within
yeah.
the offense. And I wonder if that means Pickett is sooner than later.
I'm hoping. I'm hoping.
I'm hoping so because I think that opens up like the moment. All right, so I'll say with this, and because we keep bringing up running backs in this situation, the moment Kenny Pickett becomes the starting quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers, I am doing whatever I can to trade for
Yep.
Deontay Johnson.
Yeah. Deontay and Claypool. I think Claypool
Yeah,
may end up
I
getting vaulted into a
It's Claypool or
yeah.
Pickens,
Oh,
but
Pickens
like
hasn't seen a whole lot of usage.
it just yeah, it hasn't been a
Hmm.
lot. So, but even Freiermuth, I would like the moment Pickett becomes the starting quarterback, I am trading for any of those guys just because it
Yeah.
is like I at this point you kind of know the ceiling for Trubisky, and it's frustrating.
Hmm.
Like the ceiling is frustrating, and I think with Pickett, they would actually it would actually open up that offense. Honestly,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah. So going to the next game, which before we get going, because now we're going to the later afternoon games. What's the score of the Miami game so
It
far?
is on commercial. I will tell you
Oh,
when we get back because I haven't really been paying attention too much.
let me see if NFL.com. Oh, it's
14-12.
14-12. That's that
Okay.
14-12 at the half. Okay, so let's go with the next game here, which is going to be the Cardinals and the Panthers. Um, so where to begin with this one? Because I'll be honest with you, I am just not thrilled with
So
anybody. Like, I mean, we've already.
I'd like
Which
to
team do you
start
want
out
to
with
start
something.
with?
Um,
Okay,
I do not believe that Kyler um is fit to run this offense. He has
I
he has
okay.
struggled so
Can,
much over the last couple of weeks, and he's
can
oh, go
I
ahead, go ahead.
can I present a counter
Okay,
argument? I don't think it's Kyler. I think it's Cliff.
really? Okay.
Yes, but I want to hear your point first.
I just feel like he's really struggled the last couple of weeks, and he has had to carry the team on his shoulders every single week, every single week, and they've just struggled. I think part of it is because they're missing wide receivers. You know, Rondale hasn't really showed up this year. He's been injured like all year, and then we've been missing their starter. Oh God, um, yeah, Hopkins.
Hopkins.
Yeah, they're missing DeAndre, and I think he's just struggled to find targets and to work with this offense the way it is. So something needs to happen, whether it's a scheme
I
change. whether it's they need to bring in more personnel, but Kyler needs help with this team. He does. So,
Yeah, so yeah, that's where I go. I think the issue is Cliff, and I mean this is something I've been saying for a while. Is I don't think that offense works as it stands, and you know what? I will take this in a different direction, and I will make a long story very short. So Cliff Kingsbury, I actually had hope in him after year one, and the reason why is because every receiver got hurt, and he was forced to adapt. And what he did there was to go multiple tight ends and run the ball with Kenyon Drake. So the following season, they get Hopkins. We're all still excited about Kenyon Drake, and we're like, wow, all right, we see Cliff was able to adapt, and that was his first year post Texas Tech. Like, we're okay. I'm impressed. I think this is going to be great. Literally, getting Hopkins may have been the worst thing for Cliff Kingsbury, the coach, in my opinion, because that enabled him to go back to what he was doing beforehand.
yeah.
And what we've seen beforehand is almost no tight ends on the field, or if so, there's one, but it's short passes to kind of run the ball, and then you're using your five regular offensive linemen and read option and or just zone and basic run plays to get the ball rolling, and then your occasional Kyler deep shot. I personally don't think the Cliff offense works right now. Is because it's too basic at its core. The point of just getting the ball out quick, being faster than everyone else, to just to the point where like you're getting no variety. Like that's where it's like, why do you think when instead of people being student athletes, you're getting people who are getting paid to beat you and study you 24/7, literally for an entire week? Do you think having less wow route variety will work? And I think it's indicative on the coach when you get more established talent and you can't make it work. And that's where I think what you're getting frustrated with Kyler about, you should aim that frustration at Cliff, because Kyler is an incredible talent at quarterback, but has he really? Uh, we have to like think of it in this way: Kyler is a talent, but has he really developed into an NFL quarterback? I don't think so. And that's you're saying that when he's gotten Hollywood Brown, when he's gotten Hopkins, when he's gotten James Conner, Zach Ertz, all these certified talents. So is the problem
Yeah.
Kyler or is it
It's
Cliff?
it's probably with Cliff. I'm just tired of seeing him struggle because he's done that for
Yeah,
years. So, um, I mean, other than Kyler, Marquise Brown, keep an eye out for this week,
yeah. I
and then
I would start him. He's going to get the targets, and Dortch is a
and
good.
Zach Ertz. Zach Ertz
Uh,
also keep
yeah,
an eye on.
Dortch and Ertz are the only other two. As far as the other side for Carolina, it is CMC, and that's
That's
all I'm
it.
going to say.
That's it. Don't we won't even go into the
Yeah,
Panthers just because it's
no,
not even worth it.
yeah, it's not even worth it. Now, the next game, however, this gets interesting. Patriots, Packers, and most likely Mac Jones isn't playing.
Um,
So,
I've I've seen reports that he is.
okay, but so even then, he's heavily
Yeah,
limited. So expect a big Ramondre Damian Harris game.
yeah,
And as far as the receivers or tight ends, don't worry
yeah.
about
Well,
it.
and when it comes
Personally,
to Ramondre and Harris, good luck. Luck of the draw. Yeah,
I put both in.
it's
Like
gonna be
I would
luck
just
of the
start them
draw.
both. Yeah,
Whoever ends up getting the most
I,
targets, and
I think you have a better chance of both of them scoring this
yeah,
week, though.
yeah.
Now, as far as the other side, I kind of want to bring up another person within the trade segment, Romeo Dobbs.
Trade for, Trade for.
Trade for
I don't.
in a redraft or keeper league. Who are you willing to give up for Romeo Dobbs?
Redraft keeper. Oh
Because
my
I have my
gosh. I
answer.
don't even know. I don't know on this one because he's still a question mark. I mean, he showed up last week, but that was with the seas parted or the seas parting for him to do that. So I still want to see the production before I invest.
So okay, because I will tell you, um, and this is all right. So I'm going to take the assumption that he did take off this week, and he did really good. It's a second great week. I would straight up trade Hollywood Brown for Romeo Dobbs. I would
I
do
would
it.
do it. I would do it because
Just
the level of production for Hollywood goes down after week
it's going
6.
to, yeah, yep. And
His potential,
once Hop
yeah,
Nuke comes
once Nuke
back,
comes back, his potential goes down, and I think, yeah, I think I'd be interested in that trade if
yeah,
somebody proposed that.
I would personally make that trade. I would
Yeah,
even make that trade in Dynasty, to be honest with you. So I mean, that's basically it. You're starting AJ Dillon. You're starting Aaron Jones. I think they'll have a pretty good game. Rodgers will have a pretty good game as well. Maybe.
I'm
Uh oh.
sorry. I just had somebody propose a trade to me in one of my leagues.
Oh no.
Dak Prescott for Devonte Adams, straight up, and I could not help but
That's a
laugh.
that.
I I don't understand that.
I am stumped. Who thought that was a good idea?
It's Ethan's league. Honestly, so much weird crap has been going on in this league. Somebody dropped.
You
Get this. Somebody dropped Chris Godwin. Just straight up dropped. Didn't even add drop. Dropped Dalvin Cook. Dropped Alvin Kamara. And then oh, that's it. That's it. It was after he dropped Chris Godwin. I was like, what's going on with this dude? And then he dropped Dalvin
and then
Cook
you saw
and Alvin Kamara, and I literally had to text Ethan, who's, by the way, for our listeners, he's the other guy that's normally on this show. I had to text Ethan, who's the commissioner, and was like, "Dude, commissioner, get in on this, or else there's going to be a feeding frenzy for this guy's roster."
yeah.
And it's like, so he had to get on there and take people from a roster that they'd kind of picked him clean after he had dropped everybody that was any good.
What is
And I was like,
that?
holy crap, like, you need to get control of this dude. I don't even think this guy knows how to play fantasy football, because I'm like, oh
That
my god,
that league sounds like it's a
it's
circus, for
chaos.
lack of a
It's
better word.
chaos, and I have
Yeah,
no
it's
clue why I'm 1-2 in that league. Honestly, I have such a good team,
Of
but I'm
course.
1-2. So
Of
yeah,
course, it's the
yeah,
it's the chaos incarnate league where you're like, none of this
exactly.
makes sense. Why am I one and
Yeah.
two? Oh my
So
goodness.
yeah,
Okay,
let's
we got
continue.
we got three.
Sorry, I got a little
Yeah, we got
sidetracked.
three more games here. Unbelievable. Broncos Raiders. Um, I will tell you, for the love of all things not named Russell Wilson, don't start
Don't start
Russell
Russell
Wilson.
Wilson.
Please don't.
Start their
Please
punter
don't.
over Russell Wilson.
Yeah, really. But okay, so I will give you the part of the trade segment. I did want to bring up Javante
Okay.
Williams. Are you worried about Javante Williams at
No,
all, or are you? Yeah, okay, cool. I'm not
I'm not
either,
worried.
and I would.
But he may be a good panic buy for people. Um,
I I'm right there with you.
People who are Javante Williams owners in your league, if he is in their flex position or on their bench, take a shot. Take a shot at him. He's worth it. I think next year when finally Melvin Gordon gets kicked off the team, I've been calling for it for the last year, but
It's going to be like the Jamal Williams, not Jamal Williams, Jamal Adams, where he locked out of the
yeah,
facility.
that's what needs to happen. He just keeps leeching off of Javonte Williams, but when he's gone, I think Javonte Williams is vaulted into a RB1 slot that's on lock.
Oh
Like
yeah,
he's gonna have command
yeah,
over that
yeah,
offense.
yeah. He's an en route to
Yeah,
a lock. And then as far as the receivers go, any pass catchers, I think it's Sutton and
yeah,
no one else,
yeah.
honestly.
Yeah, yeah. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, I wouldn't drop Judy, but I would not
Hold on to
start
him.
Judy.
Hold on to him.
Yeah, I would hold on to him as well, just hoping that the offense gets figured out. Now, speaking of an offense that's not having it figured out right now, is the Raiders. You're probably not starting Derek Carr, Josh Jacobs, probably an RB2 or a flex at
Keep
best.
Devonte Adams. He's always
Yeah,
got
Devontae
upside.
Adams. It's always got upside. It's been
And
rough. It will figure itself
yeah,
out
yeah.
though. Now, the big question I want to bring up is, are you chasing after Matt Collins at all?
No. No.
I'm not either, and I would, because I'm not even thinking about starting Renfro either.
Yeah. No. Renfro's going through uh concussion protocol right
I
now.
think,
So I don't even know if he's
yeah,
eligible for this
yeah.
week.
I don't know if he's even playing this week, but even then, he has the steep. I didn't think
Yeah.
about this, and it makes a lot of sense why Renfro has not done well, and is that he out of the Josh McDaniels system, he has the steepest learning
Yeah.
curve, and that's where I go, oh, I should have realized that.
Hmm.
So that's where like Waller and Adams should have been the top two guys in my mind, and then I would have waited to get Renfro. I would say if someone's probably dropped Renfro
Yeah.
already, and I would pick him up and
Oh, for
stash him,
sure. Yeah.
wait it out,
Hold on to him.
because I think later in the year it will figure itself
Hmm.
out. Because I would not be surprised if the Raiders are like, we're gonna have to throw the win. Like this is what we got to do at this
Yeah.
point, and they're 0-3. Like they have to catch up somehow.
Yep. They've got to get started. So
Yeah, they definitely got to get started there. So our Sunday night game, which I think is interesting.
I like it.
Uh,
I like it.
I like it. We now keep this in mind. This game will get weird. We do have to bring up Hurricane Ian at the moment.
Yes.
So that's the only thing, is just be on the lookout, especially when it comes to Bucks and Chiefs players. I don't think this will get like a full week postponement, but I would not be surprised if it's a neutral
No,
site
they've already
game
stated
or
that it's going to be played in Tampa.
in
It's going
Tampa.
because they've
Okay,
played around with the possibility of them doing it at US Bank Stadium in Minneapolis. And
and they said
today
no.
they came out with a press release saying that they are playing in their home stadium in Tampa Bay. So,
All right, that's
yeah.
interesting.
So it may be a run game.
Because it did go. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's going to be a
Yeah.
slosh fest. Like that field has to be
Yep.
soaked. Which did you? All right. So, um, did you know that there's a part in Florida where there was a shark swimming through the street? Like the whole town is flooded,
Really?
and there's a shark swimming through
Oh
the
my
street.
gosh.
Yes, it is the most Florida thing I think I've ever heard of in my life.
That's crazy.
Uh, but uh, so I mean, let's go with this game. I would say temper all your expectations on every player here. We have
Yeah.
no idea what the field condition is. This is something to actually pay attention to, like the weather reports, the field
Yeah,
conditions.
just like with week one,
because this
when it was,
with the
yeah,
49ers or
49ers Bears.
Bears.
Yeah.
Yep, 100% agree with you. So, but in the meantime, you're probably starting CEH,
Yep.
Mahomes, and Kelsey on that side. Buck side, you're probably going Brady, Fournette, Evans, Godwin if he
Not. I don't think
plays.
Godwin is going to be playing.
I would not be surprised if they held him out of this game.
Yeah.
Just be like, hey, this field is not the greatest. We're gonna have to deal with it somehow. But that's the only people I would
Yeah.
start in that game. And now we get to our Monday night game, the Rams and the 49ers. This is interesting, and I will give a few reasons. My last trade segment player for you, Ryan,
Okay.
is Debo Samuel. Because I've gotten mixed reviews on how people view
I'm a
Debo this year.
hold on Debo. You could trade him away.
I,
You
I am
can you can do whatever you want with him. I'm kind of neutral on it. Like if you decide to trade him away, obviously make sure you're getting the value because he's not diminished in value. His usage over the
yeah.
last couple of weeks has not changed. Like
It's
has not
just
been.
been it's just been lack of
Yeah, it
touchdowns, honestly.
exactly. It's been lack of touchdown, but his record season last year, his usage has not changed since then. So I
Yeah.
think he's still wide receiver one there in San Fran. I also think that he's a risky play this year. I so that's why I'm kind of on the fence about it. I think he's a hold because he's risky due to injury because of his usage. He's used like a running back, and you know how running backs are in San Fran.
Yeah.
But
And I think that usage is going to get
yeah,
more too. I think we're going to see closer to last year
yeah,
personally, and just really the big reason why Jimmy G's a
yeah,
quarterback, like that is it. Some of the running could have been like taken away from Debo and given to Trey Lance, but Trey Lance had broken ankle. Let's like so obviously you're not doing that with Jimmy G, but I mean literally the Sunday night game, we were doing the review and I was taking a peek at the 49ers offense. You literally remembered why the 49ers traded for Trey Lance in that
yeah,
game. And that is where is again Jimmy G can't be the offense, but he can run an offense. And that's where you look at Debo, a guy who can be the offense and go, "Hey, this is the you're going to have to do it again." So I personally would be trading for Debo. I would give up a lot for Debo at this point. Just because I personally the seas have parted to where it's going to happen again.
yeah,
But now that they have Ayuk involved, so that's where it does make it easier on Debo.
for sure, for sure. It makes it a little easier on Debo, but I don't think
Yeah.
Ayuk is going to be as used as he was his rookie year. So
No, yeah, unfortunately, not like the rookie year, just because everyone got
mhm.
hurt. But even then, literally, there's a play. I don't know if you saw it, but it was they. So the Jimmy G ends up throwing the ball to Ayuk, and it's on a 10-yard dig
Yeah,
route. But he was on the opposite side of the field, and then on the other side there was a bunch formation. The Broncos had a miscommunication, and Debo's wide open
huh?
on a vertical route. Jimmy G looks at him and doesn't throw the ball. I don't, but literally that play
Oh
is a
my gosh.
microcosm of why they drafted Trey
Yeah,
Lance, and it's why that we're even having this. this kind of like discussion about, oh, how is Debo going to be? How is Ayuk going to be? And that's where I go with Debo because I think Kyle Shanahan's going to be like, hey, I'm stuck with Jimmy again. We're gonna run it
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then for the Rams, Stafford, Cup, and Higby. I'll go and say
That's
Higby.
yeah. I'd say Higby is a definite. I
I
I think he's a potential.
I drank that.
Sorry.
I think yeah. I think Allen Robinson is still. I think he's still good, and I think he's getting the opportunity. But he is a person where I need to see one really good game out of him before I'm comfortable starting
Yeah,
him
I'm
again.
not convinced with Allen Robinson. I
I'm
haven't.
I'm not convinced either, but he definitely just has to get in the
Yeah,
offense
see,
more.
I'm just not convinced in his usage. I don't think it's fantasy relevant. I think it's great for that team. I just don't think it's fantasy relevant. So
Yeah,
that's just
and
me.
I'm with you there. I think it will be fantasy relevant soon though.
Yeah.
And speaking of fantasy relevance, that is all the games for this week. But now it is time for bus, sleeper, and lock. We really should keep a count of these, and well, I probably should. But Ryan, who is your bust for this week?
Oh my gosh. Oh man.
I feel like I'm cheating with my answer.
Oh my gosh. I don't have one. Um I think Penny. I think Penny.
Okay, so mine's along the lines. I was going Antonio Gibson.
Okay. Against the Cowboys? Oh,
Yeah, against the Cowboys, I don't trust
yeah.
that O line at all
Yeah.
whatsoever.
Okay.
So,
I could see
pretty
that.
simple. Yeah, pretty easy for us there. So, who is your sleeper this week?
Dubs. Dubs. For sure.
Ah, you took my answer. Now I got to think
Romeo.
of another one.
Good old Romeo.
Good
I
old
think I think
Romeo,
he's gonna do
Romeo.
well. I think he's gonna do well this week. I believe in him, especially against a fairly squishy Saints secondary. Um, I think he'll be all right.
They play
Ooh, Hill, big play,
Patriots secondary.
all the way down to the 5.
Nice.
All right.
Oh wow. Ooh. Oh boy, who's my sleeper this week?
Now I gotta pick a
Um.
lock. I
Hmm.
have no clue what a like which lock.
Oh, based on this episode, I know your lock, and I
Oh,
won't pick it.
I know my lock. I know my lock.
Oh, actually, okay, I do know my sleeper. Give me DJ Chark.
If Amon-Ra St. Brown is out.
If
Okay.
yeah, if
That's a
if Sun God
conditional
is out,
sleeper.
DJ
Okay.
Chark.
It's a
All right. Okay,
conditional
conditional
sleeper.
sleeper. If you want me to pick another one, I'll go deep sleeper, and that's Isaiah Likely.
Okay. Okay.
Just because both safeties are out for Buffalo
Yeah.
right now. You have two young corners. Tre'Davious White's not
Hmm.
out there. Obviously, you're covering Bateman. Obviously, you're covering Andrews. I think Isaiah Likely's breakout game might be this week.
So, okay. I okay. I like that. I like the likelihood of
Well done.
that.
Well done. Well done, Ryan. Alrighty, so your
So my
lock.
lock is actually from the same game. This man has
Ooh.
carried the Baltimore Ravens for the last 3 weeks.
Well, well,
Lamar
well.
freaking Jackson, the man. Like I think he's QB1 this year.
you know, right? I'm proud of you, man. I'm proud of you. Oh man! All right, look. If I pick Lamar, Ethan will call me out as a homer. But I'm going to be honest in this section. I am going to pick the same game, but I'm picking Josh Allen
Okay.
just literally just because I don't think a single defense can stop
Yeah.
Josh Allen. I think Josh Allen has hit the point where he's going to get his no
Yep.
matter what, and most likely the only person to beat
Is
Josh
Josh
Allen,
Allen.
yes, literally that is going to be the only thing. So I think he's a lock no matter what good the Ravens
Yeah.
do. I think it's if they can stop everyone else is the question.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
So yeah, that is our week 4 preview. I mean, that it's been a roller coaster of emotions going through all the different games. Again, I say, as we bring this up now, our thoughts and prayers go up to Tua. There is a report that the Dolphins have announced that he has movement in all extremities, so
That's
that's really good to
good.
hear. That's whew, and yeah, we all hope Tua has a speedy recovery, but more importantly, a healthy recovery. I want we want to make sure that he is healthy before football coming back onto
Yeah,
the field is even an
for sure.
option for him. But as always, our news and injuries episode will come out probably right before the beginning matchups for week 1, except the Vikings game because I will not be up at 8:30 in the morning. But if you have any waiver questions, any trade offer ideas, or any lineup questions of that sort, feel free to hit us up at Last Place
Yep.
FP. I believe at Last Place
And
FP.
definitely
Um,
don't forget to like and subscribe this YouTube channel, and go in and follow us on all of our social media pages on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all of them at Last Place FP.
so this is our week 4 preview. Thank you again for everyone for listening. My name is Josh, along with my co-host Ryan, and we will see y'all very soon.
Okay, I gotta trade